Good evening, Zimbabwe. This is Change Radio News. Today is Wednesday, 23 April 2025. The news read by Rutendo Chinzara. Here are the news headlines. President Nelson Chamisa calls for dialogue. Blessed Geza criticized for changing statements. Leaked documents show plans to rig future elections. And now for the news in detail. President Nelson Chamisa has for the second time reaffirmed that he is interested in dialogue. He said this in a social media post where he encouraged unity and dialogue. This is the second time this year when he said that he is free to talk to anyone. This is viewed as a way of wanting to resolve the political crisis in a peaceful way. Change Radio spoke to a youth leader from Makoni Central, Lakmo Marimba. Let's hear him speaking.
Good afternoon, people of Zimbabwe. Good afternoon, Change Radio. I'm here to express my thoughts today. People of Zimbabwe, we must unite and stand together to fight this regime, to fight this command. We are happy to see a statement from Advocate Nelson Chamisa. It seems like he is encouraging a dialogue. So we must stand together and unite and fight the regime together. Thank you, Zimbabwe.
Meanwhile, yesterday, Blessed Geza called for a continuation of national shutdown. He encouraged citizens to remain in their homes, saying it is important for their safety. Geza, who is a senior ZANU-PF member and a former intelligence officer, is a face of resistance within ZANU-PF. He has challenged Emmerson Mnangagwa's leadership and openly called for his removal from office. Despite this, Geza, speaking to the media, also advocated for his inclusion in government. His contradictory statements give doubt to the general people, as he has already shown that his demands are motivated by the desire to personal benefits than national building. Change Radio spoke to Mr. Moyana. Let's hear his views.
Right, thank you, citizens. Thank you very much. Good evening. Yeah, on the issue of Geza's shutdowns, we appreciate what he's doing, and we don't have any say on this. This is a ZANU-PF organization. This is a ZANU-PF arrangement. So for us, we are just observers. We are observing. We don't need to be too much involved in all these issues because we don't know what they are planning. Maybe they need to entrap some of our leadership. So our leadership, you need to be very careful. And we, as the supporters of President Nelson Chamisa, we need to be very careful as well. Their shutdowns must be a continuation, yes, but to whose advantage? To their advantage or to our advantage? I think it's to their advantage. So, however, the continuation should go on, yes, but we need to be very careful as opposition supporters of President Nelson Chamisa. So we need to be very careful, guys, especially our leadership in towns, even in rural outskirts. We have not to be too much involved. So we thank you very much. Thank you this evening. Thank you. Thank you.
Leaked documents show that ZANU-PF plans to amend the constitution to extend presidential and parliamentary terms by 2 years, pushing elections to 2013. The proposal also seeks to move voter registration from the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission to the Registrar of Births and Deaths and transfer boundary mapping to a new commission. Opposition politicians have warned that the changes threaten the right to vote by delaying elections and weakening electoral accountability. This also could be a form of election engineering designed to entrench power and avoid democratic challenge. There are also complaints that shifting key functions away from ZEC will further undermine transparency and the independence of electoral processes. For a comment on this, Change Radio spoke to a human rights lawyer, Advocate Martin Mureri. Let's hear him speaking.
Thank you so much. As a human rights lawyer, human rights lawyer, my reaction to the amendments proposed by the movers, or those who want the constitution to be amended, at the effect that they actually violate the right to vote. Yes, I know that the representatives of the citizens are in parliament, but we must know that it's too early to amend the constitution. One must actually be abide by the 5-year period, and if that 5-year period expires, then one must go back to seek a fresh mandate from the citizens, from the people, whether they still want you to represent, to be their representatives, be in parliament, presidential, and in the local government. So it is my view that these amendments are a clear violation to the right to vote to the citizens, because yes, it takes away the right of the citizens to vote for their candidate after each and every 5-year period, because you are extending by 2 years. So it's a clear violation.
Today, Blessed Muhlanga has spent 58 days in pre-trial detention. Muhlanga was arrested on 24 February and is being charged for transmitting information that is likely to incite public violence. Yesterday, his trial date was postponed to 30 April. Meanwhile, the ongoing Zimbabwe International Trade Fair in Bulawayo was briefly disrupted this morning by power cuts. Despite the event's focus on industrialization, the failure to provide reliable electricity shows a deeper leadership crisis in the country. Villagers at Futsinda Business Center in Ward 35 Gutu Central were left waiting all day yesterday for government food aid that never arrived. The delay exposes the ongoing failures in service delivery, mismanagement, and corruption. Meanwhile, the Social Welfare Department is investigating allegations that local councillor Benson Kuraone Dandira used his personal vehicle to collect and possibly divert aid meant for schools. Meanwhile, opposition politicians, including former Seke MP, Honorable Mazimba Muto, are mobilizing funds and resources to support school children with fees, books, and pens ahead of the new school term in May. The initiative is being praised as a compassionate gesture and an example of leadership that puts the community first. The nation is mourning the death of 2 senior members of the security forces, Walter Basopo, a long-time Central Intelligence Organization operatives who had been linked to past abductions of political activists. Also deceased is retired Brigadier General Victor Rungani, a former JOC official accused of overseeing state-sponsored violence during the 2008 presidential runoff. Basopo, who is also a relative to Emerson Mnangagwa, was also pointed in the disappearance of Itai Zamara. Change Radio Weather Report. Harare will be mostly sunny with a high of 25 degrees and a low of 12. Bulawayo can expect partly cloudy skies and a chance of light showers reaching 23 degrees. Masvingo will also be mostly sunny, warm at 27 degrees during the day. Mutare may see afternoon showers with a high of 21. Gweru stays mostly sunny, reaching 24 degrees. In international news, the Japanese ambassador to Zimbabwe, Shinchi Yamanaka, says trade between the two countries remains low. Zimbabwe mainly exports raw commodities, while Japan supplies cars. However, there is a positive development since Zimbabwean coffee exports to Japan have resumed for the first time in 20 years. The President of Botswana, His Excellency Duma Boko, says any leader who wants to rule for more than 10 years has already failed. Speaking strongly on the issue of long-term leadership, President Boko said that if a president takes the job seriously, they should not want to stay in office for that long. He added that staying in power too long shows the leader doesn't understand the job and is not doing it well. His comments come as men across Africa continue to raise concerns about leaders who try to hold on to power for too long. In Zimbabwe, political tensions have remained high since the 2023 elections, with President Emmerson Mnangagwa facing criticism over his plans to extend his rule until 2030. And now in sports news. The battle for Champions League spots intensifies with Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle, Nottingham Forest and Man City all within striking distance. Forest's win over Spurs kept them in contention, while Villa slipped to 7th. With up to 11 European places still possible, even mid-table sides like Crystal Palace, 12th have hope. Manchester United have identified Napoli's Victor Osimhen, 26, as their primary striker target. They are also eyeing Wolves' Matthias Cunha, £62.5 million release clause. With Arsenal, Newcastle and Forest also interested. Additionally, United plan to trigger Ipswich Liam Delap's £30 million clause. To end the news, here are the headlines once again. President Nelson Chamisa calls for dialogue. Blessed Geza criticized for changing statements. Leaked documents show plans to rig future elections. That concludes this news bulletin. Thank you for listening. From myself, Rutendo Chinzara, and the entire team at Change Radio, have a good night.